Hey guys, I hope that you are well. You may have noticed that we did not post a video last week. That's because we wanted to leave space to amplify melanated voices and the conversation surrounding these social injustices or the racial injustices against Black lives. So we wanted to leave space for people to educate themselves, do their own research, donate, but consume all the content surrounding how to best fight racial injustices. And of course, coming back into our videos, because of course we're going to start sharing content again, we did not just want to run back in with a video about like how to do XYZ, how 10 tips for XYZ. We wanted to do something that is topical and valuable for the moment right now because we think this is very important. We saw a lot of brands fail last week, like go up in flames last week. And we have cut brands off. We've cut brands off, businesses off, people we follow, they've been cut as a result of their response to the Black Lives Matter movement. To make it very frank, we support the Black Lives Matter movement. We believe that Black lives matter. If you want to come in here with the all lives matter nonsense, we're not hearing it, because if all lives mattered, then we wouldn't be having this conversation about Black lives.
Facts.
So we are very cognizant of the fact that a lot of people have anxiety now about what to post because they saw these brands go up into flames. We want to give you as much information as possible so that you can go forward with the consideration of this climate in mind and just with a new lens and a new outlook onto the world that can carry into your business and also the way that you promote and market your business. So we're hoping that we're going to give you some good information here to make you rethink the way that you share your content. Craig and I are going to head over to the couch. I'm going to pour up my coffee because I've been needing a lot of coffee, and we will see you in 1 second.
Hey guys.
Hello everybody. Okay, so this, as you can see, it's filmed on our, well, for the tech people can see, this is filmed on our vlog camera because we just want to get the message out as fast as possible. So it's not going to be a highly edited type of video. It's just to get the message out to you guys. This is going to be a non-exhaustive list for how to promote your business while also still considering Black voices and integrating Black voices more. We just came up with a few off the top that we already know, just based on having worked in this industry for, well, 10 years, but 10 years, more than 10 years for you. I'm coming up on 10 years now, and then together as our agency for 5 years.
Yes, and things we noticed this past week, and just the a lot of the failures, whether it's intentional or otherwise, just learning curve. Figure there's some things we'll be able to help people with here because people do need some assistance.
And it's good if you're watching this video and you want to know like how to do better, what to do on the other side. I think that's very important. And I also think that there's a lot of opportunities and learnings in this, and there could be a lot of positive changes on the other side of this all. So even though this problem has already has been here for this entire time, I think there's like this wide opening now, like everybody's, well, many people, enough people are kind of being like, oh damn, like didn't know these people felt this way or had this experience. So not only has the movement surrounding just like Black lives in general caused people to look at the law, but it's also caused people to look at how their business was kind of reflecting like Black life in general. So I think that's a good thing, even though we had to go through significant loss to get here. I think it's a good thing that we are in this place and having this conversation. So let's get into the first way. The first way that you can look at integrating Black voices more into your feed, or Black faces as well, just increasing diversity in this area, is to diversify your feed. So that is letting people know that they are also included and can be reflected in your brand as well. So for me, when I go to a page, if somebody interacts with me or comes on my explore page and I see a product or service and then I scroll through their feed and it's just a bunch of people who don't look like me, I immediately just think it's not for me. And that might not always be the case. It's not always intentional. There's this thing where we do end up hiring and kind of just working with people who look like us because it's also part of your network. It's like the people that are in your network. If you don't have a diverse network, there's a chance that you're not actively seeking out people to change that. But a really good opportunity for you here is to hire Black photographers. That's a good way to get more Black people into your feed. Another one would be with working with Black creators, so like we often work with, but again, I am a woman of color, so that's probably has some role in there, I guess. We just have always known like your feed should look diverse.
Yeah.
Because I think about any client that we've taken on, we're always cognizant of that. We've always made it so that way, like, hey, we need to have a bunch of different looking people in there.
Maybe because we are diverse.
Yeah.
And, you know, we come from, like, you've grown up in it. I was growing up in the hip hop culture, so I've always been focused on that. And I've been aware of when things aren't diverse. You can tell if you just
you look at the feed, it's the same color hand and the same color faces. You have to think about how that reflects on your brand and your business. So again, you might not be doing this intentionally, but here's something to consider. Like, how do I make people know or help them understand that this is a safe space for everybody and we are for everybody?
Yes.
So that is like an easy signal or trigger, and if it is authentic and you mean it, then why not do it? You might just not be thinking about that.
Yeah.
So definitely look at hiring black photographers and maybe express like, hey, I want to make sure that there's like different cultures in there. You're also just expanding your network and opening yourself up to black people, which is never going to be a bad thing. And in addition, hiring black creators or influencers, because they'll create content, they'll be in the content most of the time. So that's another way, and you expose yourself to a wider audience of different people.
And even if you do your own photos, just hire black models or diverse models.
Yeah.
If your product is for everybody, like that needs to be reflected in your feed. The next way you can promote your business whilst supporting black voices is to partner with black-owned businesses and experts in their field. So one thing that we see a lot, say if you're having some sort of a panel right now, there's a lot of digital things happening, some sort of panel or a conference or something, it's usually a panel that all looks the same thing. And they're kind of interchangeable. The message and the perspective that they have is homogenous. Not saying it's a bad message or perspective, but it's just from the same thing all the time. So if there's a way that you're able to partner with other black-owned businesses, whether it's in something like that or just when you work with other companies, like one example we were just talking about, a florist. We actually have a friend who's a florist, and she went and promoted all the black florists in her area, which was super cool. But perhaps that if you're a florist, you could partner with other auxiliary companies, maybe someone who sells stuffed toys or
jewelry or something like that.
Something like that, and just make it all make sense. The things that you're going to work with anyway, maybe just go out of your way to support a black business.
And also when you think about it, it just opens you up to a new community, right? So if you're not so homogenous and just sticking in the same exact area, we get a lot of that. We work in the craft beer industry, and the craft beer industry is just notorious for just staying in that same exact lane of the same person with just the same people. And that business would be bigger if they opened it up a little bit, period, to a larger group of people, particularly black people and other people of color. So that directly affects your bottom line. So not only are you contributing to diversity and inclusion across the board, you're also making your business better.
That's it. Yeah, it's like any sort of collaboration. When anyone collaborates and you're exposing each business to
you've cross-promoted now.
That's it. So not only do you win if you are not a person of color and your business now is, you know, working with and promoting in concert with a black business, vice versa, they will also tap into your audience, which helps them grow. So, and they get a more diverse, because maybe some of the black-owned businesses do a similar thing and stay in their own kind of community, and because it's something that we all do. It's just like a habit, but it's something that we need to be conscious of, and we have to break out of it, and now more than ever, and this is why. So I mentioned panels, and I know not many businesses are really running panels right now, but if you're doing any sort of public-facing collaborations, like an Instagram Live, a podcast, some sort of video, get a black voice, get a black face in there, get a black perspective. Bring in someone else. Like, for example, we have the Craft Beer podcast, as we talk about, and then moving forward, we have a bunch booked, but we're going to be concentrating on black voices that we weren't always able to promote because of the way that
we used to have to be somewhere, but now we can't go anywhere. So,
so we've sort of made a list. I've been following all the black breweries. I was following a bunch of them anyway, but we only would have interviewed them if we went to their city, and that was always out of our control. So now we can control it. So we're like, well, let's amplify some voices. So this is something that we would recommend, and it's pretty easy to do. You'll be able to find somebody and reach out, and then all of a sudden you're going to make this new partnership, and hopefully it works out well for everybody.
Yeah, and if you're like, how do I find these people? I don't even know where to begin or where to look. Instagram is a great source for that, because you can, what we've spoken about before, and helping you guys with actually just going out, looking at hashtags, looking at key hashtags that make sense, or looking at top creators, and then just hitting that little down arrow on the profile and getting suggested profiles. Instagram's very, very good with just letting you know who's kind of related to that. So you can look up one black blogger and probably get you into a ton, or one black expert in a field, and it'll give you a ton of recommendations.
And ask your audience, use a poll. Or maybe
who do you want to see here? But ask people, what do you want to see? Who do you want to see here? Like, let me know. And then if you do see, especially if you see people recommending someone, often, yeah, pay attention and listen to that.
Yeah.
The next one is not so much about just promoting your business, even though it does help you in your overall marketing, but it's more about an approach to business in general. Yeah. Hire diverse staff.
Oh yeah.
So we know many of you are solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, or small businesses. You might not be hiring a ton of people, but when you are hiring, consider hiring somebody that does not look exactly like you. This is going to be beneficial for so many reasons, but one, it'll make your perspective broader, so you'll broaden your perspective. It'll help you in your marketing because you're not going to have this one singular view of anything, because other people will be able to come in and tell you different perspectives. It'll also save you. So if you think about H&M and that awful like coolest monkey in the jungle shirt or something that they did, which was just, that was like, come on, you didn't have like one person. It felt like they wanted to sabotage themselves. Like some decisions that brands have made is just directly reflective of who is on their board and who they have employed. They just do not have diverse faces in there. They do not have black people to stop them and say, hey, this is going to offend a ton of people and hurt your bottom line. Honestly, a lot of our clients, all of our clients benefited from having us as part of their team.
Especially last week.
Yeah.
There were multiple situations where we were consulting with clients to construct the right message, and some of them made some
terrible mistakes that would have hurt them if we were not there to be like, whoa, 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 no. So that's something that you have to consider. So if it's not even just hiring diverse staff, it might be hiring a diverse agency. If you have freelancers that help you, maybe consider a freelancer that does not look like you. Just giving yourself other perspectives, because then when we're talking about promoting your business, it's going to allow you to touch different people. It's going to allow you to speak to different people and make sure that you are considerate of your messaging and that you're also amplifying black voices and not offending anyone else, period. So not offending anyone. Gosh, I've seen some websites. Side note, like one of the main things that I've seen, because we're obviously just observing how everyone's responding on social media and how brands are responding, and I've seen a lot of people who are getting a lot of heat, and then when I go to their website and look at their team, it's 17 people who look exactly the same.
Yeah, it's actually like, it's almost frightening sometimes.
It's kind of terrifying when you see it in that way, because I'm like, there's not one other person, and this is just not even just black people right now, but there's not an Asian person, there wasn't a Latina person, there was nobody else, period, who wanted to be involved. It's like the Christmas card situation where we get that Christmas card from a brewery or a company, and then they're like, from all of us, and everybody looks the same. There is a problem there that needs to be identified and needs to be rectified, and if you were not doing it, take this opportunity again where it's like, I'm getting educated on what the state of the world actually is, that for some reason I didn't understand, and that's fine, we're not blaming anyone. Everyone comes to themselves in their own way, but now that you know that, you can't keep the same energy that you had before. You need to be movers of change. You know, so
proactively. You can't just sit back anymore. This is something that you have to think about. You have to have the uncomfortable conversations. You have to have these also uncomfortable self-realizations. You have to know, wow, look at my mistake, and it's okay. Everyone's been making mistakes. That's why this is happening. And no one's mad at anybody if you can own the mistakes and then work towards fixing them and making it better so it doesn't happen in future, and then there's a more inclusive society for everybody. That's really the whole goal here.
Exactly.
So a great segue from what we were just talking about, the next thing you can do to actually operate and promote your business during these times is to listen and to research. These two things are going to save you so much heartache if you can just apply it. So first of all, read the room. Listen to what people are saying. If you put out a message and you thought it was okay, and then you get feedback that is either constructive or negative, don't have the wall and up and sort of push back on that. Listen and take that feedback humbly and be like, no problem, I get it, I'm gonna work towards fixing it. At the end of the day, like, this feels different. You can tell this is something that's not gonna go away after 3 days of protest and then people are gonna shut up.
As much as people might want it to, it will not.
Yeah, it's not going anywhere, and that's really what it is. So you have to get comfortable, and you're gonna have to learn to listen, and you're gonna have to learn to admit when you're wrong, and learn to make changes, and that's okay. We're all going through it. Everyone is dealing and everyone's learning. So first of all, listen, really pay attention. Second, research. One thing I've noted, whenever there's something like this, there's two ways you can go about it. You can go to Google and you can do some independent research. You can read various viewpoints, read some articles, watch some videos, check out social media, see the way people are talking, or you can go and ask somebody. Now, both of those are perfectly fine. That's research. But what we want to make sure that you're not doing is leaning too hard on the person of color or black person that you know in your industry, because as you can imagine, their inbox is probably going to be flooded. There is one friend of ours, a dear friend, Renee, and she is
Just bombarded.
But yeah, she actually had to cancel DMs. She had to say, like, do not DM me.
Yeah.
Because she's the one voice in Canadian craft beer. There's a bunch more in the States, but in Canada, she's, like, for better or worse, probably worse, I guess, because it's not fair on her. She doesn't have a full team. She has to deal with all this alone. She's got all these people just asking simple questions that they could Google. And that's putting more pressure and more stress on her when she's already going through it. So try to be aware of that. If you're an employee and your bosses, whoever's in charge, the owners, if they haven't proactively either spoken to their team about it or done something, bring it up.
Call them out.
Call them out.
And hold them accountable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it might be, once again, another awkward conversations. That's part of this game. It's going to be uncomfortable for everybody.
Yeah.
It's discomfort, and that's what growth always comes from, discomfort.
Exactly. And so does success.
There you go.
Another thing you want to consider is that if you do support this movement, continue and be vocal about your support for this movement. So don't just throw your black box up there or put your one message out and then just think you can call it a day and wash your hands. You have to be consistent now and put forth continuous action towards these goals. Show people what you're going to be doing to make change. And it will benefit you to be vocal about this. Now, you don't have to make your entire feed now all of a sudden like a feed that's just about like Black Lives Matter content or racial injustices and things of that sort. But if you do have corporate social responsibility now that's weaved into your platform a little more, share that and be excited about that. Don't just leave it in the back. It's great that you're doing it in the back, but it does help people to know what brands they want to support and what businesses they want to support. I'm definitely looking at people who I'm going to be supporting more based on how they're supporting me as a person of color now. And I'm remembering that in bookmarking. I have bookmarks saved and like I'm taking notes to remember like who I'm going to be supporting because they've supported me. So this will benefit you. So not only are you doing a good thing, but it'll benefit you so people know where you stand.
Yes.
And this note here is more directed to other Black business owners, Black creators, marketers, coaches. As we mentioned earlier, a lot of brands messed up last week and over the last couple weeks. And a lot of people showed you who they are and where they stand with you. So, we're feeling this way, we know, we recognize what happened, and there are a ton of consumers and clients out there who followed specific people and are now understanding and realizing that those people are not for them. So they are ready to move on and they are ready to divert their attention and their money elsewhere. This is the time for you to swoop on in and take that tribe, okay? It's not an incorrect thing to do. It's not a bad thing to do because in the end, they're not for them anyways, right? So I know that I've looked at people sideways and now I'm looking at investing more and more as much as I can into other Black businesses just to restore balance where it needs to be restored. Yeah. There are a ton of people like me out there and you know because you're probably doing the same thing. Make sure you are set up and ready to receive these new customers, this new audience. They will be coming to you. So you know what that means. We are broken record with this. Setting up your profile, making sure you're set up for success, make sure your funnels are in check and ready to receive them. Don't look at it as being opportunistic. Look at it as serving an audience who needs to be served and who is hurting right now and probably really disappointed in the people that they've invested in the past.
That's it. You're
just going to be there to lift them as you should if you are authentic and doing the right things. So we're going to leave a full link to resources that make sense. This is actually for everybody. We're going to leave a link to better ways to educate yourself, ways to support the movement, but also just ways to make sure that your profiles and everything you have is set up and ready to receive this new audience of people. You can also be proactively targeting people. So I'm just saying, if I was a coach and I went and saw that perhaps a white coach was getting really pounded on now because of their response to this Black Lives Matter movement and or because of their silence, so whether they had a poor response,
an apology,
and then had to post, there's a lot of those apology posts coming up there. I would be sweeping into that comment section and engaging with those people and bringing them over to my page and letting them know that I am here for them and I have a leg up now because I am the same as you. Yeah. So think about that.
Exactly. And also on to add on really quickly that not only is it about making sure your profile's set up, make sure you have bandwidth. You were telling me in some of the Black groups that you're into sharing Black businesses, like
some people are overwhelmed,
like, they can't
which
keep
is
up.
great.
I'm booked out. Sorry,
but make sure you have bandwidth.
So you have bandwidth. Maybe start thinking about getting some extra staff, or like look at ways that if you had like 10x the business coming in that you have now, how would you cope with that? What would you do? Where would you get resources? Where would you get employees or contractors to help you out? Start thinking about that, because it has happened to numerous businesses,
which is
and it's going to keep happening.
Stay ready so you do not have to get ready.
All right, so turning it over to you guys real quick. If you are a business owner and you have been doing all the things we just mentioned successfully to date, so maybe you weren't one of the businesses that struggled last week, maybe you saw the opportunity, you did your own research, maybe you already have diverse staff, you listened, you read the room, you posted right, you amplified Black voices, you didn't post about your business all week because you recognize the Amplify Melanated Voices whole week, the hashtag for that. What did you do that worked? I'd love to hear some stories in the comments below, guys. Let us know what you have done and how that resonated with your audience, because that could be something that's a super useful resource for people who are watching and might not know what to do. If you can share some of your success, I think that'll definitely be beneficial for people.
And to my fellow people of color, I would love to know, what would you like to see from brands and businesses that would make you feel comfortable giving them your coins again? So maybe they did make that mistake in the last week or so, or maybe they stayed silent. And again, it could be because they're so nervous, even though I do not use it as an excuse, but people have their reasons. What would make them ever win you back? And I think that might be interesting for people to see as well, so they can know what opportunities there are for them to do better. Yeah,
that's a great question, because even if you've dropped the ball and you just didn't know what to do and you froze and did nothing, some people might have left, but it might not be too late. All depends on the individual. Everyone has different levels for when they'll cut a business off, but if there's something specific from the community that this is essentially aimed at, that would also be super helpful, I think, for businesses.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for watching. Just sending love and light to everybody out there. We are going to be all right. As in the words of Kendrick Lamar. So thank you guys so much for coming back to watch another video. If you found this video useful, or if you liked this video, give us a thumbs up, hit subscribe below, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any other videos from us. You can follow us everywhere on social media at High Season Co, or check out our website for resources at highseasonco.com. We will see you in the next video, guys.
Peace.
Black Lives Matter.